I got the M82 Ultra yesterday, so I'm going to be sharing my tips and tricks and how you guys can unlock DM Ultra for it pretty quickly. But first thing I want to say is it actually is not even close to as good as everyone is saying. Now, in Warzone, it is super broken right now, but Raven actually just tweeted out that they're going to be nerfing it heavily. Whether that's a damage nerf or a recoil nerf, it's going to get nerfed because it's obviously way too strong right now. And the one question I have is, how do you not know going into the patch that this gun is going to be absolutely overpowered? Like, do they not dev test this? I'm sure they do, right? But then how in the testing for this weapon do they try it out against different weapons, notice it kills extremely fast, and then carry it into the game? That's just my one question. I don't understand how the balancing and stuff goes within these patches, but nonetheless, it was broken in Warzone at one point, and it's going to be getting nerfed heavily. However, in Cold War, it's a completely different story. Now, it kills really fast in core game modes if you're up close to enemies, but the one downside is in those close quarters engagements, you're going to be moving extremely slow because it is an LMG. So when I was doing camo grinding for this weapon and rushing and trying to get up close and personal with enemies, it was pretty difficult because I was dying to like the Milano and a bunch of weaker guns in the game up at close quarters, even though I would be hitting all my shots. Now, it is pretty inconsistent, which is why I think this LMG sucks. Like, if you use a weapon like the RPD or the Stoner, those two LMGs are so consistent that they are perfect for the LMG category, while the MG82 is very inconsistent. It has great fire rate, really bad recoil, especially if you're going for those longer range kills, and the damage profile isn't that high just because of how fast it shoots. Because imagine if the MG82 had like Stoner or like M60 damage with that fire rate, that thing would be insane. But overall, it's not the best gun in the world, but it's also not the worst. But I personally say, based off of how everyone is using it and how everyone is talking it up, I think it's definitely very overrated and actually sucks compared to a lot of the other LMGs in the LMG category. I would say it is the third worst LMG, just ahead of the M60. If the M60 was a little bit faster in the fire rate section, then the M60 would be ahead of the MG82, and the MG82 would be the worst LMG in the game. We're talking Cold War now, we're not talking Warzone, but the MG82 in Cold War would absolutely be the worst one in the game if it wasn't for the M60's slow fire rate. And what sucks about this gun is, you guys will see in the background gameplay, even with high recoil control attachments and good attachments for damage, range, and just recoil control overall, long range can struggle. It really shines in that medium range of the game, where you're not too far away from enemies, where your recoil is going to be unmanageable, or if the enemy that you're fighting has good recoil control, you're going to die in that gunfight. And if you're not too close, where SMGs, shotguns, and pistols are going to shred you, then you're pretty much safe in that assault rifle range distance. But once again, you have to compete with the assault rifles, which hit harder and can shoot faster than this LMG. So it does get outclassed in almost every area of the game that it's supposed to perform well in, but it's a fun LMG to use. I honestly hate this thing in hardcore too, because in hardcore this thing gets so many hit markers. You know how the SMGs like the Milano and a lot of the SMGs can get one-shot kills even at long range? This LMG gets hit markers so often that you have to 2 and even 3-shot kill enemies sometimes. If you played hardcore in Modern Warfare 2019, you would know that there was only a handful of weapons that could one-shot kill at any scenario, and then there was lots of SMGs, assault rifles, and other weapons in the game that hit markered in hardcore. This MG82 feels like it fits in with Modern Warfare 2019's hardcore rather than Cold War. The fact that pistols can one-shot at farther distances than the MG82 speaks a lot. And I'm not talking headshots, because headshots and upper body shots are all one-shot kills regardless of where you're shooting them. But this LMG is just not good in hardcore. I was grinding it in hardcore 12v12, and I had a guy raging in my lobby on my team, and he was screaming like, how does an LMG not penetrate through walls? Because it's true. The MG82, if you're penetrating through walls, unless the bullets are hitting their head, you're gonna get hit markers through walls and bullet penetration in hardcore, which does make sense to some certain extent, but the fact that a lot of just base weapons in the game can penetrate through wall and get kills in hardcore, it just also shows how how weak the MG82 is within hardcore. Now, one thing this gun does really well in is when you're fighting multiple enemies at a single time. You'll see the play of the game in this video and in the gameplay is me just wiping out a bunch of enemies, where if I had any other weapon in the game, I would be at such a complete disadvantage that I would have been dead in this play. DM Ultra grind wise, this thing's actually not too bad. It's pretty straightforward. If you guys have done LMGs and assault rifles during the DM Ultra grind, or even just gold camo grind, this thing is going to be a breeze and a cakewalk for you. It's not difficult whatsoever. All the base camo challenges like bloodthirsties, headshots, standard eliminations, long shots, you'll complete with this gun super easily. It's the camo challenges like getting kills while enemies are detected by your UAV 75 times, and then getting those 50 kills against enemies behind cover. Those are going to be a little bit of a struggle, but really you can just go into 12v12, and then whenever you pop a harp or a UAV, you'll be getting tons of kills, just because of if you're in a spawn trap and spawn trapping the enemies, you can get like 8 kills while a UAV is active within the first 5-10 seconds the UAV is active. And then if you throw a harp up and you can actually see where the enemies are direction wise, you're going to be spawn trapping them so much easier as well. And of course, if you add that field mic to your loadout and you're running that field mic and spawn trapping in 12v12 once again, it's super easy. If you get 12v12 on Nuketown, you can literally get, like, as long as no one destroys your portable mic and you hide it somewhere where enemies won't find it, as long as they don't have the whatever you can see enemy equipment through walls perk is. I can't remember it off the top of my head for some reason, but as long as none of the enemies have that, or none of the enemies care to destroy it, and you have it in a safe place where your team and the enemy team can't destroy it in hardcore, you can get, like, I think the most that I did was 12v12 domination on Nuketown, and I threw down the portable mic, and I think combined I got like 55 out of the 75 kills in a single game, combined with the portable mic or the portable radar, the UAV, and then the harp. And then I also carried the air patrol, so if I had my harp up and someone either called in their own air patrol or counter UAV, I could just throw up my air patrol, save my harp, and keep it going for as long as possible to maximize kills. And of course, kills behind cover in 12v12 is super easy. There's so many people head glitching in 12v12 and just hiding behind cover that even if you're not even focused on the challenge and you're just trying to play the game to level up your weapon, you'll get a lot of kills. Like, you can get up to like 8 to 10 kills against enemies behind cover per game, especially if you're on maps like Apocalypse, Express, or Standoff, where a lot of enemies are head glitching a lot of the time anyway. And because the player counts are so high in those game modes, the more there are, the easier it is to do those camo challenges. And then you'll have double kills eventually, but once again, if you're in 12v12, most of your kills are going to be double kills, as long as you're not dying right off of the first kill that you get. You'll complete that really easily. The only thing that's time consuming with this thing is leveling it up and getting those good attachments to use towards camo grinding, because when you start using this weapon, you don't really get a lot of good recoil control or damage and range increases, so you're going to be pretty weak until you get those high level 40 attachments like the foregrip that does horizontal and vertical recoil control, and then the barrel that increases your damage, bullet velocity, and damage range. And really, once you get those, then this gun becomes a lot better. But until then, especially in hardcore, you're going to get lots of hit markers. And then in core, without these good attachments that I showed at the beginning of the video, you're going to be killing pretty slow compared to what you normally would be with like a stoner or an RPD, or even the SMGs in the game. So really, this gun sucks until you get some really good attachments on it, but then once you get the best attachments, it still doesn't improve the performance that much in the game. And the huge downside of it is how slow you are ADSing and reloading and movement speed wise, because it's an LMG. If this thing was like an SMG, this thing would be the best gun in the game. Or if it was like an assault rifle, best gun in the game if it had the movement and mobility of the assault rifle or SMG category. But because it's an LMG, the LMG stats hinder it so much where it just becomes a mediocre second thought gun into the game. Warzone, we don't know how it's going to look after patch. I'm making this video after Raven said that they were going to nerf it, so we'll have to wait and see how it changes in Warzone. That's why I'm not covering it too much in this video. Anyway, that's the video for today. Hope you guys did enjoy. Leave a like if you did, dislike if you didn't. I'm going to be doing the nail gun and the C58, I think is the assault rifle, probably this weekend or during the week. And I got a brand new series coming out Wednesday for you guys as well. Anyway, I'm about to head out, and if there is one, I will see you in the next one. Peace.